This is a second stimulus check update for June 13th. In this video, I'll go over how much and approximately when you could expect a second stimulus check, as well as why certain groups of people are receiving $1,000 stimulus checks. First, just a quick announcement for the first stimulus check people. There's around 30 to 35 million people who haven't yet received a first stimulus check. So the IRS isn't able to reach certain people. So it's around 12 million people who the IRS are not able to get their information from who are eligible for a stimulus check. You would have to go to this non-filers tool. I'll have a link to that down in the description below. I've been getting a lot of questions of why certain people are receiving a second stimulus check and why others aren't. Just to be clear, there is no official second stimulus check. Some people are receiving a stimulus check. So if we look here, according to this, families can get $1,000 from the Resurrection Project if they didn't get stimulus checks. Now this is only for Chicago, but there are many cities, towns, and counties around the country that are giving stimulus checks, like counties in Florida giving $1,000 to the residents, or in Boston helping out their residents with rent. So there's so many of these examples, but people have no idea how to do it. So I put together a one-page document that has the updates for first stimulus checks if you haven't received it yet, what number to call, what resources, second stimulus check, how to find out what's going on, as well as resources to find out in your community if there are any stimulus checks going out to specific residents. It's completely free, and I think it's a helpful resource to figure out what's going on, as well as to see what type of aid you could receive from your community. Also, another way that I think the WiseFlies community could help each other out is if you have an online business or starting an online business, put it down in the comments down below, and let's try to support each other. So if you make jewelry or have some type of service, put that down in the comments below. Just don't leave the website just because there's a spam blocker on YouTube, but let us know and we'll see how we can all support each other. Now let's talk about second stimulus check update. So in regards to how much, it is just $1,200 one-time payment. Just to be clear, there's no $2,000 monthly or any other $5,000 stimulus check. There's so many things going around on the internet. The only amount of money that will go directly to Americans that is the closest to passing is just a one-time payment of $1,200. Now let's talk about second stimulus check updates and approximately when you could expect to see a second stimulus check. So President Trump is behind giving a second stimulus check to the people. He said, we'll be asking for additional stimulus money because once we get this going, it'll be far bigger and better than we've seen in this country. Also, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, who is part of the Trump administration, said he will seriously look at whether we want to do more direct money to stimulate the economy. Then Kevin Hassett, which is the White House economic advisor, he said, we talked with President Trump about it last week, and the odds of a phase 4 deal is very, very high. Phase 4 is pretty much referencing the second stimulus check. So the current timeline of when to expect a second stimulus check, you're going to have to wait until the end of July for the money. The reason why is there are three factors at play here. So the coronavirus is causing more damage, and some people say that there is no second wave, that we're still on the first wave of the coronavirus. So if we look at the chart here, it hasn't really gone down much. I thought when this all started back in March, April, I thought once the warmer months came around that this thing would just go away kind of like the flu, but that is not the case. According to Harvard professor, we really never quite finished the first wave, and it doesn't look like we're going to anytime soon. With the virus on a slow decline as opposed to completely disappearing, we probably aren't going to have another shutdown because the past 2 to 3 months of businesses, state shutdown, has affected our economy negatively probably until the end of 2022, with at least the Fed not raising the interest rate until then. So the economy will probably stay open, but our new potential reality may be that everybody has to wear face masks 100% of the time. So according to a study done in Taiwan where they had low infection rates, pretty much everybody was wearing a face mask no matter where they were out in public. The second factor that is delaying second stimulus checks is politics. So if we look here, this is the HEROES Act that was passed by the Democrats. Just to be clear, I'm an independent, not Republican or Democrat. I bash both parties, or mainly just politicians in general. This $3 trillion bill has so much fluff in it that does not directly help Americans. If the Democrats really wanted to help Americans, they could have passed a bill that would just give direct payments to Americans, as opposed to all these other programs that could have waited a few months. Personally, I haven't read the 1,800-page bill, but according to reports of people who did, supposedly there's a lot of special interest money, lobbyist money in there that has nothing to do with the American people. So Democrats are at fault for putting forth a bad bill. And the people who are opposing the bill are rich. So the people who put forth the bill, people who oppose the bill are rich. They have no idea what Americans are going through. So Mitch McConnell has a net worth of $34 million back in 2018. I'm sure it's much higher now. Nancy Pelosi has a net worth of $114 million back in 2018. What do these rich people, Democrat, Republican, does not matter, what do they care about the American people? These millionaire politicians are living in a bubble that has a completely different reality than the rest of the Americans that they are supposed to help. A lot of Americans are going through hard times right now, going through struggles like if they should pay for their car to get fixed so they could go to the work, or they use that same money to feed their family. And politicians who are worth $30 million to $100 million, they could care less about the rest of Americans who are struggling. They go on vacation 1 to 2 weeks every single month in the Senate. And I truly do believe that there are good politicians who want to help out their communities. Unfortunately, the corrupt politicians are the ones who are squashing the good politicians. And the third factor that is delaying second stimulus checks to the American people is the election season coming up. So if there was no elections this year, it'd probably be a totally different timeline. So we're in June right now, elections are coming up in November, just a few months away. And if they could stretch out that second stimulus check payment as close as they can to the elections, then the American people might even forget about how badly they were treated, and it could sway their decision to vote. The best analogy I could come up with is imagine there is a school classroom with a teacher who represents the government who is really mean, and the 10-year-olds in the class are the American people, and it's a class that lasts 7 hours. And the first 6 hours of this class, the teacher is really mean and is not treating the kids right, doesn't even give the kids a lunch break, so the kids are hungry. But then the last hour of class, the teacher completely switches mood and is really nice to the kids, gives the kid food and gives the kids candy, lets the kids watch a movie. So they're really happy, in a really good mood. Then the teacher says, you know what, for the rest of the school year, you guys get to have as much candy as you want, and you get to watch movies every single day. So when it's time for the kids to go home and the parents ask them, how was your day? How was the teacher? How were you treated? The kids will say, great, with candy in hand and full bellies and the promise of movies every day for the rest of the year. The kids say, class was great, I can't wait to go back to school, and they completely forgot how they were treated the first 6 hours of that class. So with elections coming up, the big question is, will Americans remember how poorly they were treated after they get their second stimulus check right around election time? And if you want to watch more second stimulus check updates, you could click this playlist over here. And if you want to get rid of your debt, save for an emergency fund, and build wealth in 7 steps, you could click this video over here. It's on my other channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.